Tonight, on The Good, the Bad, and the Unknown, Milton Berle gets mad, goes bowling, and tries to kill Saturday Night Live. Roll the intro. Hello, boys and girls, your old friend RJ City, and I am back with another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Unknown, where I take one entertainer and find one work of theirs that I like, one that I don't, and one that not many people know about. And today, we are talking about Mr. Television, Uncle Milty, Milton Berle. Milton Berle was the first true star in the golden age of television, and they say he was so popular and so instrumental to the success and sales of televisions that movie theater ticket sales were apparently always very low on Tuesday nights because people would be staying home just to watch his show. He had a very long career, and he died at age 93, so he did a lot of modern work too, like cameos in the Muppet Movie and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He played Louis the Lilac on the Batman TV show, and he also did episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Beverly Hills 90210, The Nanny, and his final role was on an episode of Kenan and Kel. The only thing longer than his career was his penis, which was said to have been the biggest in all of Hollywood. When Phil Silvers stood next to him at a urinal, he leaned over, peeked, and said, "You better feed that thing or it's liable to turn on you." And the most famous tale is that in a dick measuring contest in the steam room, a bystander said, "Come on, Milton, just take out enough to win." The Good, for me, is an all-star comedy classic called It's a Mad, World. It was filmed in 1963. It was produced and directed by Stanley Kramer, who's also very well known for Look Who's Coming to Dinner. And as far as an all-star comedy classic, there is no better cast ever in the world, perhaps of all time. Listen to this cast. Milton Berle, Spencer Tracy, Edie Adams, Sid Caesar, Buddy Hackett, Ethel Merman, Mickey Rooney, Phil Silvers, Jonathan Winters, Jim Backus, Jimmy Durante, and Peter Falk, with cameos by Jack Benny, Andy Devine, Norman Fell, Leo Gorcey, Marvin Kaplan, Buster Keaton, Don Knotts, Jerry Lewis, Carl Reiner, and the Three fucking Stooges. This is the orgy of my dreams. The premise is that Jimmy Durante is this former bank robber, and he causes this huge traffic jam, and before he dies, he tells everyone in the traffic jam that he buried this huge fortune, so all the drivers set off in different directions, searching for the money and encountering idiocy along the way. In the movie, Milton Berle is married to Dorothy Provine, and Ethel Merman plays his mother-in-law. The reason this movie works so well for Milton Berle is that he was often incapable of toning it down and not being wacky. So this is an insane movie with ridiculous characters and a ridiculous premise, so it's a perfect way to showcase the best of Milton Berle. The premise is, dare I say, Berle-esque. It is a very long movie. The theatrical cut is 161 minutes long, but the movie was originally even longer than that. The original cut was apparently 210 minutes long. In 2014, the Criterion Collection added most of the cut footage back in and released a 197-minute cut. It inspired a lot of movies that came after it, including Scavenger Hunt, Million Dollar Mystery, the Gladbad sponsorship movie, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point, and of course Rat Race, and there's even multiple unofficial Bollywood remakes. It was a critical and commercial success. It was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, winning for Best Sound Editing. So if you want to listen to something funny, this is the movie for you. So the good is it's a mad world. And for the bad, it's a little thing called Jackpot Bowling, a 1960s TV show. But to explain just how bad this is for Berle, you need to understand what his peak was first. As the host of the Texaco Star Theater from 1948 to 1958, Berle is truly king. And this show was rated #1 the first year that the Nielsen ratings were even used. At the height of his popularity in 1951, NBC signs Berle to a $1 million a year contract for 30 years. A 30-year contract, which, as you can probably surmise, ends up proving to be quite a problem. In 1953, Texaco drops its sponsorship and Buick takes over the sponsorship, calling it the Buick-Berle Show. 2 years later, Buick drops out and he just becomes the Milton Berle Show, which lasts until 1956 because of declining ratings and burnout and increased competition, although it has 2 very early appearances of a young fella named Elvis Presley. The TV landscape drastically changes, variety shows are out, sitcoms are in, but Berle still has this gigantic contract, so NBC keeps sticking him into different gigs. Which brings us to Jackpot Bowling. Jackpot Bowling used to be an interstitial buffer to fill time after boxing matches ended. But now, with Berle as host, becomes a full 30-minute show. Filmed at the Hollywood Legion bowling lanes, Berle would come out in front of an audience and do a full monologue in front of the bowling lanes. There would be a 6-frame game between 2 bowlers, and then a celebrity guest would come out. Berle would interview them in front of the bowling lane still, and then the celebrity guest would bowl a bowl for charity. And then the winner of the first game would play the King of the Hill winner from the previous episode. Oh, and it was sponsored by cigarette and cigar companies, which Berle plugs incessantly during the whole show. It's just really sad more than anything else to see Milton Berle wedge his comedy into a game of fucking bowling. Only 5 episodes exist online, including one with a celebrity guest as Diana Dors, whose then husband is in the audience, a young fella named Richard Dawson, who of course would go on to kiss everyone on Family Feud. The good was It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. The bad was Jackpot Bowling. And the unknown is not so much unknown as it was temporarily banned, because it is a Milton Berle hosted episode of Saturday Night Live. The episode aired April 14th, 1979, with musical guest Ornette Coleman. This is mainly the original cast, with Bill Murray replacing Chevy Chase, but you still have Dan Aykroyd, Garrett Morris, Jane Curtin, John Belushi, Lorraine Newman, and Gilda Radner. Now, SNL had old show business guest hosts before, like Desi Arnaz, who got along well, and they were able to mix in with the old and the new and make a nice melange of comedy. But Milton Berle was, let's just say, less than adaptable. He was allegedly incredibly difficult to deal with and forced his ideas into the show no matter what. SNL writer Rosie Schuster said it was like watching a comedy train accident in slow motion on a loop. His monologue is straight, old one-liners that are both sexist and racist, and then he starts riffing on a bald guy in the audience and does jokes about George Burns and Miami Beach. And then he plants a sudden noise from behind the bandstand just so he could say, oh, that's the sound of NBC dropping another show. Still bitter after all these years. In a sketch with Gilda, Milton Berle plays an elderly man, but he continually mugs for the camera and spits up and dribbles food all over his face to constantly upstage and ruin the scene. Worst of all, even though he's not the musical guest, he closes the show by singing September Song with a middle-of-the-song monologue about his entire career. And he told Lorne Michaels before taping that his standing ovation was guaranteed because all of the people that he brought with him in the audience stand up on cue at the end of the song and force everyone else to stand up too. How charming. After the show, Lorne Michaels immediately told the director that it was the worst show they ever had, and he banned it from being rerun and in syndication for decades. However, you can now find clips of the episode online. Best and worst of all, Milton Berle allegedly walked around backstage at SNL with his boxers and gladly showed his penis off to anyone who asked, including Alan Zweibel, who got a peek of the monster as Gilda Radner walked in. So the good was It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. The bad was Jackpot Bowling. And the unknown, which you now know, was a disastrous episode of Saturday Night Live. God bless you, Uncle Milty. I am RJ City, and this is what I've chosen to do with my life.
Guests of the RJ City Show, subscribe to his channel, follow him on social media, and buy his t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/RJ City.